This might be the first question we get on almost every single call. Even before how much is my case worth, before anything, people ask, how long is this going to take? And I get it. You're hurt, the bills are piling up, and you just want to know, when does my life get back to normal? So today, we're giving you the honest answer, not a dodge, a real framework, so you can see where your own case is likely to land. Mallory, people don't like hearing it depends, do they?
No, they don't. And honestly, they shouldn't. It depends is true, but if that's where your lawyer stops, then it can feel like a brush off, right? So today we're not going to stop there. We're going to show you exactly what it depends on. And that is your treatment, the facts of your case, and a few hard deadlines that apply here in Washington. So by the end of this, hopefully it depends is going to make a lot more sense. Rick, let's start with the single biggest thing that sets the clock, and it's probably not what people expect.
Yeah, and this is part one. Your treatment sets the clock. The biggest thing that decides how long your case is going to take, it's not the lawyers. It isn't even the court system. It's your medical treatment. And here's why. We can't put a real value on your case until you've either healed or your doctors say that you've reached a plateau. And they call that maximum medical improvement, or MMI. That's the point where we finally know the full extent of your injuries. And that matters because when you settle, you sign a release. And in that release, it says it's final. If you settle too early and then you need surgery 6 months later, that's on you now. You can't reopen the claim. So when a case takes time because you're still treating, that delay is usually protecting you. A minor soft tissue injury might clear up in a few weeks. A surgery or a long recovery can take a year or more before the picture is clear. So honestly, I could get you a check next week, but it'd just be the wrong one. Mallory, once someone's treatment is settled, walk them through what actually happens next.
Once you finish treating, your case will move through a few clear phases. So first, after you're done treating, we gather everything, all of your medical records, the bills, your lost wages if you've missed work, and we build what's called a demand, which is just our demand to the insurance company for the amount of money that we believe you're owed, right? And that's usually, this phase can take 1 to 3 months. Then when we send that demand to the insurance company, that's when the negotiation begins, right? And a lot of cases with clear liability, where your injuries are not in question and the liability is clear, they can settle right there before anyone ever files a lawsuit. But if the insurance company does not make you a fair offer, then we move to the next phase. And that's a decision that we make together, you with your attorney. And Rick, before we get into filing suit, people always want a number. So let's give them the honest time ranges for this.
Okay, so every case is different, obviously. So these are the ranges, they're not promises. If it's a straightforward soft tissue case, liability is clear, and it settles prior to a lawsuit being filed, you're often wrapped up within 6 months and within a couple of months after you're done treating. But if the injuries are serious, or they're fighting about who's at fault, or the case goes into litigation, now you're realistically looking at a year and a half to 3 years, and sometimes even longer. It's a big range, I know. Mallory, there's also a hard deadline sitting over all of this, the one people get wrong the most.
There is. In Washington, you have 3 years from the date of your injury to file a lawsuit. It's in the statute RCW 4.16.080. It's called the Statute of Limitations. And here's a myth that I want to bust. Filing an insurance claim does not stop that 3-year clock. The only thing that stops that clock is filing an actual lawsuit, which is different from filing a claim with your insurance, right? So adjusters, the insurance adjusters, they know that deadline. And them running out your clock can be a tactic. So if you feel like they're delaying you or pushing you off, it could be that they are trying to do that. And here's another couple of wrinkles in Washington. If you're suing a city, a county, or the state, then you first have to file a formal claim called a tort claim, and then you have to wait 60 days before you can sue. So that's another time limitation here in Washington. And that does pause the deadline while you wait that 60 days. And then in Washington, this is also a pure comparative fault state. So if they argue you were partly to blame, that can also stretch things out, because pure comparative fault means we do account for if you have some level of fault there. We parse that out in how damages are assigned. So, Rick, let's put that all together for folks.
Yeah, and before I go there, I just wanted to point out also that if it happens on tribal land, like if you're at a casino, every tribe has different rules. So, especially in those instances, you need to see an attorney quickly. So, here's the whole picture. There's a hard 3-year wall. A big chunk of the timeline is just your recovery. And then some of it, if we litigate, is simply the county's trial calendar, which nobody controls and which is oftentimes behind. Our job is to run everything we can control at full speed and to not let the insurance company stall you toward that deadline. And when we do file suit, that's not us failing to settle. A credible threat at trial is very often the thing that turns a lowball offer into a fair one. So filing is leverage. Now, Mallorie, let's talk about the part that they actually have some say over. And that is part 3, what speeds it up versus what slows it down. So there are real things that speed up your case. And most of them are actually on you in a good way. So number 1, go to your appointments and follow your treatment plan. Gaps in your care are the single most common self-inflicted delay that we see. Number 2, get back to your legal team quickly when we ask for a document or an answer. Every day that you sit on it is a day added to your case. And then number 3, tell us everything early. Every provider, every bill, every shift off of work that you missed. The fuller the picture, the faster we can move. And Mallorie, what about the other direction? What drags a case out?
Yeah, there are a few things. One, like you said, gaps or inconsistencies in your medical treatment. That's a big one. Also, disputes over who's at fault. When there's multiple parties pointing fingers at each other, if there's more than 2 cars involved in the accident, that can slow things down a lot. The other thing, serious injuries rightly take longer to reach MMI, maximum medical improvement. And so that can drag it out. Again, possibly in a good way, right? We want to make sure that you're maximally improved before we get those bills paid for you. Medical liens and subrogation, that has to be sorted out before you actually get paid. So the more complex that picture is, that can cause more delay as well. And there's one thing that people never think about, and we talk about it a lot. We've talked about it on the podcast before. A single social media post that seems to contradict your injury, even slightly, that can cost a lot of time. One weekend photo where you say that you're having a great time and someone can point to that and say, if that injury is not as bad as you thought, you were having a good time, right? That can cost you months. So while your case is open, be so careful what you post. And Rick, bring us home.
Okay, so the real answer to how long will my case take, it's not a number, it's a framework. Your recovery sets the pace, then the facts set the range, and then the 3-year deadline sets the wall. And remember why we take the time in the first place. The goal was never the fastest check.
It's the full one. Fast money is almost always low money. If you're hurt and you're wondering where your case would land on that timeline, give us a call.
Yeah, and I'm going to give you one more summary of the framework for how long a personal injury case takes. Number 1 is treatment. Number 2 is collecting medical records and bills. Number 3 is preparing a demand package and sending it to the insurance company. Number 4 is negotiating with the insurance company pre-suit. And if you can't settle your claim, then you move on to number 5, which is litigation. So that's a good framework for how long your case would take.